All right, guys, today we are going to be solving using completing the square. So on Friday, we just completed the square just to see if we could do it. We found the C value, we made our squared binomial, but today we're actually going to use that as a means to solve a quadratic. So we're going to see how all the pieces fit together. Okay, so the very first thing we need to do is make sure that we have our equation in standard form with everything set equal to 0. So that means ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay, do we have that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, do we have a GCF to divide out?
No.
Nope. So check. Next thing we have to do is make room for our new C value by getting rid of our old C value. Okay, we practiced on last week finding the new C value, but we have to get rid of the old to make room for the new. So our old C value is this one. Okay, so I'm going to subtract. You see, this is my equation, like my equal sign in the middle. I'm going to subtract it from this side and subtract it from that side. So when I rewrite my equation, I'm going to leave room for my new C value, okay? So I'm going to write it like this. Make sure you write all the way over. If you write in the middle, you're not going to have enough room and you're going to be mad. So x squared plus 12x plus, leave room for your new C, equals, now I have a 0 minus 20, that's negative 20. Now if I add my new C value on the right or left, don't I have to add it to the right as well? So I have to add it to both sides. Okay, now we got to figure out what it is. So what's my B value? B is 12. So to find my C, I'm going to have to take my B, chop it in half, and square it. So 6 squared? 36. If I add it to the left, I have to add it to the right. Now we get to factor the perfect square trinomial we made with our new C value. So that's this guy right here. We're looking for factors of 36 that add up to 12. 6 and 6. So that'll be x plus 6 times x plus 6. Can't we write that as a squared binomial?
Yeah.
Where's your paper? Get it out. So that'll be x plus 6 squared equals, okay, meanwhile, on the other side of the island, we are combining a negative 20 and a positive 36. What's that? Positive 16. Now, doesn't this look like something that we know how to solve?
Yes, possibly.
Yeah, we're home free, guys. This is like a review problem because we learned how to do this part on day 1. Okay, how do we undo squaring?
Square root.
Square root. Okay, don't forget the plus minus. The x plus 6 comes out of my parentheses. I got plus or minus 4. Okay, I'm going to subtract 6. Subtract 6. That gives me x equals a negative 6 plus or minus 4. Now I'm ready for my curly brackets. Okay, so if I do negative 6 minus 4, that's negative 10. And if I do negative 6 plus 4, that's positive 2. Nope, negative 2. You were right. Oh, no. So most of these pieces we already know how to do. We're just putting a whole bunch of stuff together. Do we know how to factor? Yeah. Do we know how to do square root method? Yeah. Do we know how to find a c value and turn it into a squared binomial? Yeah. Do we know how to use our addition and subtraction properties and rearrange? Yep. We're just using everything. Everything but the kitchen sink. Cool? All right, next one. Okay, do we have standard form set equal to 0?
No.
No, we do not. So the question is, when I subtract away that 2x, does the 2x become my first term, my middle term, or my last term? Middle. Because it's going to be my bx, right? All right, so x squared minus 2x minus 4 equals 0. Standard form set equal to 0. Check. Do we have a GCF to divide out? Check. All right, let's get rid of the old c value. Okay, so our old c is -4. How do we undo subtracting 4?
Addition plus 4.
Plus 4, plus 4. That gives me x squared minus 2x. I don't know what my new c value is, but I know it's going to be positive, right? Because it comes from squaring some stuff. Okay, bring down my 4. And then I'll have to add my c value to the other side as well. Okay, so I have to find my c. So I take my b and I cut it in half. -2 divided by 2 and square it. Hey, can you put your phone away, please? So -1 squared, -1 times -1, 1 and 1. All right, so now we have to factor this. So we're looking for factors of 1 that sum to -2. -1 and -1. So x minus 1 times x minus 1. Remember that this is the step that if you're feeling really confident that you could skip this step. Okay? That's the optional step. You can't skip this next one though because it's the whole point of completing the square. X minus 1 squared. Okay, meanwhile, on the other side of the island, 4 and 1 make 5. How do we undo squaring? Square root, plus minus. Okay, 16 was a perfect square. Is root 5 a perfect square?
No.
Does it have any perfect square factors other than 1?
No.
No. So we can just leave that one as plus or minus square root of 5. Okay, now we're ready for our curly brackets. Well, after we add 1 to both sides, right? So we get x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 5. So when we have like terms, we have to combine them and simplify. When they're not like terms, like the 1 and the root 5, I just write them added and subtracted together, but I don't make them into one term. I just leave them. Okay, questions? Okay, before you flip, this is really important. We know that in order to factor, we have to have magic numbers. If we don't have magic numbers, we can't factor. Sometimes we might have to slide to find our magic numbers, right? But we have to be able to get them somehow. Okay, the requirements for completing the square. Number 1, our A value must be, no, look at what our A value is for these two problems. What's in front of the x squared?
1.
A 1. Okay, so after you divide out the GCF, and if your A value is 1, you're on your way to being able to use completing the square. So divide out your GCF, and then if your A is 1, that's one of the requirements. The second requirement is that your B value must be even, because we're dividing it by, yeah, we're dividing it by 2. So does anyone really want to divide an odd number by 2 and then square a fraction and complete the square with fractions? No, thank you. So our B must be even. Okay, we don't want to chop an odd number in half. Yep. Really fast. Actually, can you let us get to this step right here and then you can go? Thank you. Okay, so I think that this is the last one that we have to do before I set you free on your assignment. Okay, do we have standard form set equal to 0? No, so we have to get it. When I subtract away that 12x from both sides, is it going to be my first, middle, or last term? Middle. So I'll have 3x squared minus 12x minus 24 equals 0. Boop. Do I have a GCF? Oh yeah. What is it? 3. Remember that I am allowed to divide both sides of my equation by the same number. I can't divide by an x, but I can divide by a number. So that gives me 3x, whoops, I'm just kidding, x squared minus 4x minus, what is that, 8?
Yeah.
Equals 0. Okay, I've got to get rid of my old C value before I can get my new one on there. So what's my old C?
-8.
Okay, how do I undo subtracting 8? Okay, add 8, add 8. Okay, now I'll have x squared minus 4x plus the new c equals 8 plus the new c. Can you put your phone away? All right, we're ready to find our new c value. We got out with the old, in with the new. So I'm going to take my b and I'm going to chop it in half and square the result. Half of -4 is -2. Square -2 and I get 4, yeah. If I add 4 to the left, I have to add it to the right. Now, do you want to skip the factor step and go right to the squared binomial? Okay, so we're still going to think of the factors of 4 that sum to -4. -2 and -2. But instead of writing them like this, we're going to go straight to x minus 2 squared. Remember, we can skip this step. Just one less thing for you to write. Equals, okay, other side of the island. What's 8 and 4? 12. How do we undo squaring? Square root, plus minus. Okay, now we've got x minus 2 equals plus or minus. What perfect square factor do you see inside of the 12? 4. I got a root 4 and a root 3 in there. Okay, I'm going to add my 2 to both sides. What is the square root of 4?
2.
Another 2. So my final solution set will be x equals this 2 plus or minus 2 root 3 Hi. Okay, do we need another one or are we good?
I think we got it under control.
Okay, so what you need to know for your quiz and your test is that you'll have problems that look like this. It'll say solve by completing the square or solve by an appropriate method, and it won't have the steps. You'll have to know the steps. So no training wheels on the quiz and test. So as soon as you can, try to start doing it with that covered up. If you have to peek, right? But try to do it without as soon as possible. Got it?